Fusion Fridays right here on KBVR. I'm Maya Holmes.
And I'm Brittany Wooten.
And we're the Blonde Bombshells.
Here to give you your weekly music news.
One thing that excites me is the idea of bringing noisier stuff to the masses, because I think that they can handle it, says EMA, the abbreviated alias for the likes of one Erica M. Anderson. The young rocker is heavy in the process of promoting her forthcoming album, Past Life of Martyred Saints, and recently stopped by the Bunk Bar to show Orion what she's all about. According to Ezra Ace Karef of the Portland Mercury, before Anderson claimed Portland as her newly adopted home, she started out as a South Dakota girl, where she joined a pair of early high school bands, one called Man Hater. Eventually, at the request of her parents, she left her hometown in search of something bigger, and she found it in Los Angeles. After playing her music around for a while, she eventually became part of the city's well-documented DIY scene at The Smell. Later, she performed with Amps for Christ, the project of Henry Barnes from Man is the Bastard, which crossed her path with that of Ezra Buchla, former frontman for the Maishi. Together, the pair started Gowns, a visionary experimental outfit which released one LP in 2007 entitled Red State, before splitting up last year. Now on her own, EMA is rocking like never before. Past Life of Martyred Saints is filled with delicate intimacy as well as sheer and utter vocal destruction, and is as memorable as it is haunting, so pay attention.
Strfkr recently released their long-awaited second album, Reptilians, which came out in March on polyvinyl. And rather than simply play one show to celebrate the release, they will play back-to-back nights at 3 different Portland venues. This return home will wrap up more than a month on the road, their most expansive tour yet. According to Chris Young of Oregon Music News, as of last week, the band sold out 19 gigs, and now they're well into the 20s as they've already sold out all 3 Portland gigs. Although if you're lucky, you might be able to snag a ticket at the door, as these venues often hold on to a handful. Last night, the party began at Holocene as the first of the 3 nights of Strfkr. Tonight, the Doug Fir Lounge opens their doors at 8 p.m. and Blouse opens the show at 9. And finally, Saturday night, Strfkr will perform at Mississippi Studios with Champagne and Arohan. Show begins at 9 p.m. and is available to all ages. The good thing about the previous venues is they will certainly satisfy Strfkr's desire to play smaller, sweatier gigs. They are back on tour once again as they pack their bags and jump across the pond to play a string of dates in Western Europe in May before Mexico City and San Fran's Outside Lands Festival.
Over the past few years, the subgenre of electronic music known as dubstep migrated from its origins in the UK and has turned a commercial corner in North America. From the likes of Britney Spears to hip-hop icon Eve and even to the metal band Korn, everyone seems to be getting into dubstep. Despite the majority of the US's slow-to-catch-on love of the genre, Portland has been grooving to it now for a while. One of the most popular dubstep events in the city is the Crown Room's weekly party, See You Next Tuesday, which has been around for almost 2 years. DJs and artists from Portland and around the world have come to play at their bass and beat-heavy sounds. One of the most fascinating artists of the UK scene, Ramadan Man, performed there this Tuesday. According to Robert Ham of The Oregonian, the performer, whose real name is David Kennedy, is a DJ-producer who has released a slew of 12-inch singles over the past 3 years under a variety of names, some being Pearson Sound and Shetland. In his music, Kennedy has stripped back many of the recognizable qualities of dubstep and brought back the lighter vintage drum machine sound that drove early techno and house music. Now, he's talking about making his music in new directions and may possibly be transitioning away from the name Ramadan Man and only recording and touring as Pearson Sound. Either way, Kennedy said his new work will have a loopier, frothier feel to the point that it might not even be called dubstep anymore. If you missed him at the Crown Room, be sure to catch some of David Kennedy's new music at the clubs and on pop radio, under whichever name he decides to go with.
Everyone had high hopes for the Brasserie Montmartre when it reopened in November of 2009. It was elegant again, but the bandstand was still in the same old place, removed from most of the people there and separated by a vast open space that overlooked the little used bar on the lower level. According to Oregon Music News, they tried to make it a listening room and had many memorable nights of music, jazz, blues, and soul. Problem was, it never really worked. They closed a few months ago and the business was sold. They plan to give it another try this May with a new setup for just about everything. The music will no longer be at the old bandstand, but rather in front of the place. The other difference is that although they'll hire good people, they're not looking to make it a music venue. The space is not big enough for a drum kit, and they're not planning to feature vocalists, so look for duos and solo piano. But at least a couple of musicians will be able to be seen there. Hopefully this pans out well for the Brasserie Montmartre.